Ethan Miller never imagined a Friday night would turn into a life-or-death chase. Pushing his car to 117 miles per hour, he led police through Maplewood in a terrifying pursuit that would shock the entire town. The quiet streets of Maplewood were alive with the gentle hum of evening traffic, the kind of calm that usually defines suburban life. Families were returning from work and school, streetlights flickered on as the sky darkened, and the routine of daily life carried on uninterrupted. But on this particular Friday, the stillness would soon be shattered. In the distance, the low growl of a powerful engine cut through the evening air. A sleek black sports car appeared, its polished surface gleaming under the streetlights. The driver, a 19-year-old known among peers for chasing thrills and performing dangerous stunts, gripped the wheel with an intensity that suggested he was preparing for something beyond a simple joyride. His mind raced with anticipation as he pressed the accelerator, the car responding instantly, eager to obey his reckless impulses. As he zipped through suburban streets, the roar of the engine echoed off houses, startling pedestrians and drawing the attention of anyone within earshot. Parked cars shivered slightly from the force of the speeding vehicle, and the faint scent of burning rubber lingered in its wake. Within minutes, the car had already passed multiple intersections, ignoring stop signs and red lights. The sight of the young driver's disregard for the law quickly caught the eye of a nearby patrol officer. What started as routine surveillance quickly escalated into a critical situation. The officer switched on the siren, expecting the driver to slow down and submit to a standard traffic stop. But instead, the sports car surged forward with renewed speed, cutting through the streets like a bolt of lightning. The suburban neighborhood, usually so safe and predictable, transformed into a dangerous gauntlet. Every turn the car took carried the risk of a collision, and the sudden screeching of tires against asphalt set hearts racing. Officers and neighboring units were alerted, and soon multiple patrol cars joined the pursuit, their lights reflecting off the shiny surfaces of homes and storefronts. Residents watched in disbelief, some peeking through curtains, others stepping outside cautiously as the high-speed chase unfolded before their eyes. The adrenaline of the moment created a dangerous blend of thrill and fear, and every second that passed increased the potential for disaster. What had begun as a young driver's impulsive decision to speed had now escalated into a full-scale emergency, one that would test the limits of both human reflexes and law enforcement's ability to contain reckless behavior. The night, once calm and uneventful, had turned into a ticking storm, with consequences that could ripple far beyond the streets of Maplewood. The chase intensified almost immediately, transforming the quiet streets of Maplewood into a high-stakes battleground between law enforcement and a driver seemingly fueled by defiance. The young driver's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as he weaved through traffic, barely leaving enough space for other vehicles to pass. Each maneuver was precise yet dangerously impulsive, as if he thrived on the tension building with every second. Speeds climbed past 100 miles per hour, the car's tires squealing against asphalt as it navigated sharp turns and narrow roads. Streetlights blurred into streaks of yellow and white, casting a surreal glow over the unfolding chaos. Officers radioed updates frantically, trying to coordinate a strategy that could safely end the pursuit. Several units struggled to keep pace, their vehicles not built for the speed and sudden agility displayed by the young driver. Attempts to box the car in or force it to slow down were met with sudden swerves and unpredictable shifts into side streets and alleys. It was clear that the driver had memorized the layout of the neighborhood, using the labyrinth of streets to his advantage, pushing the officers to their limits. The chase became a test of endurance, reflexes, and nerves for everyone involved. Civilians were caught in the unpredictable path of the pursuit. A delivery van swerved to avoid the speeding car, a cyclist skidded to the side just in time, and pedestrians froze on sidewalks, unsure whether to flee or watch. The combination of fear and adrenaline created a palpable tension in the air, each observer aware that even a single miscalculation could result in tragedy. Surveillance cameras and smartphones recorded the spectacle, capturing a night that would be remembered across the town for months. The young driver's recklessness showed no signs of slowing as he pushed the car to its limits. He darted past intersections, ignored flashing red lights, and narrowly avoided collisions with parked cars. The officers maintained their focus, adjusting tactics with every sudden turn, but the unpredictability of the driver made each move a gamble. At one point, the car accelerated down a narrow, winding street, leaving officers momentarily behind, forcing them to recalibrate their pursuit. As the chase continued, it became increasingly clear that this was no ordinary traffic stop. The situation had escalated into a full-blown crisis, with lives at stake and consequences unimaginable for a single night of impulsive decisions. Every second brought a new twist, a fresh surge of adrenaline, and a growing awareness that the outcome of this pursuit would leave an indelible mark on both the driver and the community that watched in shock and disbelief. As the chase stretched deeper into the city outskirts, the young driver made a move that shocked even the most experienced officers. After several minutes of high-speed pursuit through crowded streets, he suddenly turned off the main road and vanished into a maze of half-constructed streets and empty lots. The area was unfamiliar to most, littered with piles of gravel, abandoned machinery, and uneven pavement. It was a treacherous landscape, yet the driver navigated it with an almost uncanny precision, his instincts guiding him through a route that seemed both impulsive and calculated. Police units hesitated at the entrance to the construction zone, recognizing the danger. Every sharp turn or sudden dip could send a vehicle tumbling, yet the driver pressed forward, tires kicking up clouds of dust. Officers radioed warnings to each other, trying to anticipate his next move while avoiding potential collisions themselves. The chase had transformed from a conventional pursuit into a complex game of survival, where one misstep could end in disaster. Despite the chaos, the driver maintained astonishing control. He dodged large piles of construction debris and maneuvered around half-finished barriers as if rehearsing every movement in his mind. It was clear that he had thought about more than just speed. He had considered escape routes, hiding spots, and the patterns of law enforcement response. Every sudden swerve or risky acceleration was a test of limits, both his own and those of the pursuing officers. Yet, the escape came at a cost. Tire tracks gouged deep ruts into the soft earth, leaving behind clear evidence of his reckless path. Broken signs and damaged construction equipment marked his route, a trail that investigators would later use to piece together the events of the night. The young driver's adrenaline-fueled freedom was fleeting. Though he had temporarily eluded visual contact with the police, the aftermath of his actions was already taking shape. As the minutes passed, it became apparent that this chase was more than a youthful stunt. The driver's knowledge of the terrain, combined with his willingness to risk extreme danger, revealed a chilling determination to avoid capture. The night that had begun with a routine patrol had turned into a high-stakes pursuit through perilous territory, leaving law enforcement and civilians alike on edge. By the time the chase emerged from the construction zone, it was no longer just a story about speed. It had become a lesson in calculated risk, impulsive behavior, and the terrifying consequences of one person's choices on an entire community. Hours after the high-speed chase ended, the scene was quiet, almost eerily so. The sleek sports car sat abandoned in a dimly lit parking lot on the edge of town, its engine still warm, doors left wide open as if the driver had vanished into thin air. Authorities arrived quickly, securing the area and examining the vehicle for any clues. Inside, the car was a chaotic mix of reckless behavior and youthful impulsivity: empty energy drink cans, scattered fast food wrappers, and traces of substances that suggested the driver had been under the influence. The realization struck officers immediately. This was no simple case of speeding. Every detail inside the vehicle told a story of poor judgment and calculated risk, hinting at motivations that went beyond a fleeting thrill. Residents who had witnessed the chase shared their accounts with authorities, painting a picture of fear and confusion. People described vehicles swerving unexpectedly, pedestrians freezing in the middle of the sidewalk, and narrow escapes from collisions that could have ended in serious injury or worse. The community, shaken by the sheer recklessness of the night, demanded answers. Questions surfaced about why a young driver had access to such a powerful vehicle and why the chase had escalated so dangerously without immediate intervention. Investigators combed the surrounding area for additional evidence. Tire marks through gravel, scuffed concrete, and damaged street signs created a breadcrumb trail that reconstructed the path of the pursuit. Each clue added layers to the story, showing how close the chase had come to disaster at multiple points. Analysts studied footage from security cameras and social media uploads from shocked bystanders, piecing together the split-second decisions that had defined the night. The more the authorities examined, the clearer it became that the driver's actions were a volatile combination of impulsivity, skill, and audacity. As law enforcement reviewed the evidence, it became clear that the chase had far-reaching consequences. Beyond the immediate danger to civilians, it exposed systemic concerns about young drivers, road safety, and the social pressures that could lead to such reckless behavior. Local media outlets covered the story extensively, bringing attention to the risks associated with high-speed pursuits and the unpredictable nature of adrenaline-fueled decisions. By the end of the night, the initial adrenaline and chaos had given way to reflection and accountability. The abandoned car, the damaged streets, and the shaken residents all stood as reminders of how one person's choices could ripple through an entire community. The pursuit had ended, but the fallout, the questions, the consequences, and the lessons was only just beginning. In the weeks following the chase, the young driver faced a legal system ready to determine the consequences of his actions. Charges piled up quickly: reckless driving, fleeing from law enforcement, endangerment of civilians, and destruction of property. The court proceedings revealed a mix of remorse, defiance, and the stark reality of accountability. Witness statements and video evidence painted a vivid picture of the chaos that had unfolded, leaving jurors with the difficult task of balancing youthful impulsiveness against the tangible risks and damages caused. Every detail mattered: the speed, the dangerous maneuvers, the substances discovered in the car, and the near misses with innocent lives that could have ended in tragedy. The trial became a focal point for the community, drawing attention from media outlets and local residents alike. Discussions spread beyond the courtroom, igniting debates about road safety, youth behavior, and the influence of social media in encouraging risky actions. Some argued that the driver's age and inexperience should be considered as mitigating factors, while others insisted that the recklessness displayed required serious consequences. The legal system, in this case, was not just about punishment, it was about sending a message that such behavior could not be tolerated, regardless of intent or age. Beyond the legal ramifications, the chase had left an emotional imprint on the community. Families and witnesses who had lived through the terror of the high-speed pursuit shared lingering fears and lessons learned. Parents questioned how to educate young drivers about responsibility and the real-world dangers of thrill-seeking. Local schools incorporated discussions about the incident into safety programs, using the chase as a vivid example of how quickly a moment of impulsivity could escalate into life-altering consequences. For the driver, the court proceedings offered a moment of reckoning. The thrill and freedom that had once defined the night were replaced with reflection on mistakes and consequences. The judge emphasized accountability, while highlighting the potential for rehabilitation and growth if lessons were truly internalized. Probation, fines, and mandatory education programs became part of the sentence, serving both as punishment and a path toward understanding the severity of his actions. Ultimately, the incident became more than a story about speed or adrenaline. It was a cautionary tale, illustrating how one person's choices could ripple through an entire community, leaving fear, lessons, and lasting consequences. The pursuit was over, but the memory of that night, the lessons it imparted, and the impact on Maplewood would endure long after the engines had cooled, reminding everyone that recklessness has a price and that accountability is unavoidable, even when adrenaline temporarily blinds judgment.